I didn't realize that there was a water bottle in the background. So, if you could ignore that, that'd be really great.
Thanks.
Hi. So, am I late to this by like a month maybe? Yeah, I am. But I saw Carrie Can Read doing a half mid-year book tag, basically just kind of talking about different series and points and books that you've read, just like best, worst, most interesting characters and stuff, all of that really fun stuff. And I know that I'm late, but I want to be a part of it, okay? But there's some questions I've written down my answers so I won't be as like, So I know my answers. Also, this is being filmed on my phone, so if you're like, it wouldn't be good either on my camera. So like, anyways, I can't see myself. So that's the point I'm trying to get across. The first question that is a part of this book tag is the best book that I've read so far this year. And let me tell you, I can't pick. I literally wrote that down. I can't pick. That's like asking me to pick. I can't even say favorite child because I don't have children. But like in that same vein, like I can't sit here and be like, this one was so much better than the rest of them. I've had a comfort series. Had new authors. Like I've just had a fun little mix of stuff. And so I genuinely can't pick for that. But one of the worlds that I kind of went into is Rhythm of War, which, if you don't know, is the fourth book. I put three up. Fourth book in the Stormlight archives, and then I put the Expanse series. I'm only up to book 3 in that, which I believe is Abaddon's Gate. I still don't know how to pronounce that. It's been like months now, and I still don't know how to pronounce that. I also read Sword of Kaigen, Blood Over Brighthaven, Gideon the Ninth, The Villains Duology. Like, I've had some really good books so far, so I can't I can't sit here and pick one, but hopefully these questions will show you a little bit more towards where I'm biased, because I am. The best sequel that I read this year, I finally finished the Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. I did get slightly spoiled for it, but it was only really
Oh, she goes really crazy in this book.
like that's the only spoiler that I got for it. And let me tell you, Shotty does. She really does go crazy. That book was kind of, I just wasn't expecting it. And I remember complaining like halfway through the book being like, this is wrapping up so quickly. I didn't realize what was going to happen, okay? But I genuinely was just like, huh? And then another sequel. Again, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I can't sit here and just be like, this one is the only one. I read the Villains Duology, like I mentioned, and Vengeful. They're tied in my mind. I have a weird thing with V.E. Schwab, where I'll read the books and I'll be like, they're okay. And then I'll look back on them and I'll be like, I actually really liked that a lot more than I gave it credit for, which I don't know what that is. Like, I'll look back at it and I'll be like, that was a really good concept. I don't know what I have against it while I'm like currently reading it, but for some reason I have something against V. Schwab. I don't know why. I read Vengeful and it explains a lot more behind a certain character, and I think that she's really good at kind of, how do I put this? She's really good at exploring different kind of moral backgrounds with characters where she kind of explains why they are the way that they are. She loves doing that in books where she has like a character with a secret past, and then she's like, oh, in the second book, here's their past and here's how complicated they are and this is why they were doing this, and you're kind of like, oh, yeah, I don't know what I have against V. Schwab, I'm sorry. The other best sequel, which I find it really funny because I remember looking on Goodreads and being like, why is this one higher rated than the first book? I now understand why that is. Okay, I read Two Twisted Crowns. I don't know what the duology is actually called, but I know that it's the second book after One Dark Window. It is the continuation of the first, but it also explores a new love story, and we get a point of view from some characters that I really, really loved. But those sequels were pretty good. So listen, all right, the new releases that I haven't read but I want to. So the first one, The Fragile Threads of Power, it came out last year. It came out the end of last year. But listen, I still count that as a new release. All right? It hasn't even been a full year since it's released. So we're still counting it. Okay? Shut up. I was reading the description of that and I was like, where's Kel? Because it talks about Delilah. That's not even how you pronounce her name. And like new characters in it. And I was like, where's Kel? Where's my boy? I don't know if he dies. I don't know what happens. Or if he's mentioned in there and I'm just too stupid to grasp the concept that he's there. I don't know what it is. But I really want to read that because, again, didn't have the most fun time with the. What is it even called? Oh no. Listen. I don't know what the trilogy is called. This second book really put me off, okay? I don't know what it is. That second book I just did not enjoy. I don't know what the series is called, but the world is really interesting. The powers are really interesting. It's really funny though because the way that this new book is described, it's doing something that was supposed to not be able to happen. Like there wasn't supposed to be any more kind of like Kells and Delilahs, and now there are, or just from the description I believe that there are, which like I guess that could happen, but it's really funny because they were like, we're like the only ones left, and then she's like, psych. Or maybe there will be some new thing that she exploits for that. I don't know, but I am really interested in it because again, that world is really fun. The other one is because I've heard so many people talk about it, especially Carrie Can Read. You can't tell I watch a lot of her videos. But the freaking Five Broken Blades, she has talked about a lot. I've heard her say that it's better than Six of Crows. And she's talking trash about My Sweet Little Babies. Okay, the amount of books that I have heard compared to Six of Crows just shows you, first off, how good that duology is. The fact that people are trying to live up to it. And also, the fact that any kind of heist book is compared to it is really funny to me. Because it's literally like, there's a heist, Six of Crows. That's not all that that's about. She said that it was better. So, of course I want to read it, but it is a new release, and that means that my library does not have it, and I have not really, since like April, bought any books. And then we also have below that, talking about new releases, most anticipated releases. So, okay, you know what? Let's talk about the less obvious one. Oathbound, which is the third book in the Legendborn cycle, I believe is what it is called. That is the third book. I don't know if it's the final book. I think I could be completely wrong, but I believe I heard somewhere that the second book was supposed to be like the last book, but she expanded it to be a trilogy. Now, is it like am I like, oh my gosh, like I need to buy this the day it releases? No. But am I interested in continuing the series and seeing kind of what else there is to it? Because it does leave on a very big cliffhanger for the second book. And just the relationships that she's set up and how complicated they are right now, I do need to relieve some stress by knowing what happens between certain characters and what relationships are gonna end up together or, fizzle out. That's like one of the main reasons. I do really enjoy the power system in it. I don't really love urban fantasy, so it's not my favorite thing. So having it be set in modern times, although for this one, it very much, there's a reason why it's set in modern day. Now, the obvious release, or maybe not that obvious, because maybe you don't watch me. You probably don't. I already talked about the fourth book in the Stormlight Archives. It's one of my comfort series now. The fifth book and the last in this arc, which I have no idea what that means, and I'm kind of terrified, is Wind and Truth. But I just want my sweet baby boy Kaladin to have some peace and quiet. That's all a girl can ask for, all right? And this series, I have fallen in love with majority of characters. I have just kind of become obsessive over this world, and I really do love Brandon Sanderson's writing so much, and it truly is just like a thing that I want to pick up every single time. Now, is this fifth book, am I going to pick it up instantly? Probably not. And I don't know if they, for fantasies that big, they're each over 1,000 pages. They're each over 1,000 pages, and they get initially released in hardcover. I don't know about you, but I don't want to read a 1,000 page hardcover book. Just saying, bro. But I am terrified because it's the last one in the arc, and I don't know what that means. I'm sure somebody will be like, hey, dum dum, this is what that means. And thank you so much. So, the next question is, what is your biggest disappointment? Now, I was making a video on this book series. It's a book series, and I don't want anybody to yell at me because I can absolutely understand why this might be somebody's favorite series. But The Green Bones Saga by Fonda Lee, which consists of 3 books, which are Jade City, Jade War, and Jade Legacy. Now, you might have already heard that I don't like urban fantasy, so you might be like, why would you pick this up? And I'm going to tell you, I didn't know it was urban fantasy. And you might also be like, why do you hate it so much? Why is it the biggest disappointment? I do have to say, the first book, I was like, oh my gosh, wow. And then by the third book, I was like, I feel like the third book, in my personal opinion, she didn't really know how to wrap it up that well. Now listen, I think that her writing's good, and I do really want to read, I forget, it's like Untethered Sea, or it was something else that I've heard really good reviews of, and I do want to read because it seems more up my alley. I think that her writing's good. It just feels like the last book kind of just feels like she didn't know how to end it, because there's a bunch of time skips in it, which is fine, but I guess I just have a weird thing against that, where like you use that as a kind of way to move the plot rather than having some, I don't know, I guess like definitive way to just kind of end it, you know? And it's fine if that's like the setup of the book is like, you know, maybe you're switching between the past and present, or, you know, it's just kind of points of these people's lives, but the first 2 books weren't like that. And so it's kind of was just like a little bit weird and jarring to have it be like, all right, 10 years in the future, you're like, what? And there was a couple plot points, but the one that I had the most trouble with is there's one where his wife gets injured and he goes and sleeps with other women who are, I forget the word for it, but basically, like, you know, goes sleeps with other women, and the we get the wife's perspective as she's like recovering, and she's like, I understand why he's doing this. And then they're just fine afterwards. Like, I can, you know, obviously, I've never been in that position. I don't know. And, like, if she's accepting of it, then yeah, that's fine. But it's like, for me, it was such a, like, hard stop that I was like, what? And he was doing so well. I loved him, that character, so much. And then he goes and does that. And then there's justification for it. Which, like, it's okay because in a way because the wife was okay with it, but it's just kind of weird, felt weird to me at least. I don't know, I guess it's just like, it's just something that every time I think about it, it kind of just sticks out in my mind for me, but I don't know, just for some reason that's really stuck with me. But it is such an interesting family dynamic and power system and kind of conversation on many different things of colonization, of, you know, immigration in other countries, and kind of just the horrible ways that people are being treated and the way that people are feared and stuff. And just, also like the own hate within those communities. It's, it's probably not that deep. I just, well, I hated the video that I filmed for that, and then I also was just kind of really disappointed by it, and so it just kind of became like, because I just became really dispassionate by the end. I kind of just stopped filming, and then I'm not saying that that's the thing that put me in the reading slump, but I was doing pretty well with reading before it. But I can absolutely see why that might be your, favorite series. I totally understand it. But for me personally, just wasn't it. Now, on to the biggest surprise. So basically, I put down just kind of the two books by the same author because it was my first time ever reading from her. And both books at the time, or no, the Blood Over Brighthaven was not on Kindle Unlimited when I went to read it. It was before I started reading Sword of Kaigen, which like I find really funny because that's happened like twice now, where I've been reading books and then they go off of Kindle Unlimited, and I'm like, the biggest surprises are Sword of Kaigen and Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wong. Jeez Louise. Okay, I think I rated both of these 5 stars. I genuinely just adore M.L. Wong's writing. It's so good. The characters and the kind of topics that she's able to cover, and the way that she uses her characters to navigate those, and just the relationships too, and the way that certain people heal or realize things. It's just it was so good. Her writing was so good, and just the conversations that she's able to have on like really heavy topics, but then just kind of not, I don't know. It's the way that she writes, the characters, the dialogue, the worlds that she builds are so good. She's like an all around really good author. And just, genuinely, this was like such a shocking thing because I was kind of going into it being like, okay, Sword of Kaigen's really hyped, but like, how good is it actually? And then I read it and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I read Blood Over Brighthaven and I was like, she just did it again. Oh my gosh. And I remember being like reading Blood Over Brighthaven and being like, there's no way that this is also like 5 stars. And then it ended up being that. But I look back on both of those books and I'm still very much like, those are both 5 stars. Those are the only 5 stars that I have had this year. So those are my biggest surprises. Anyways, new favorite authors, obviously, M.L. Wong. Obviously. And then, I'm so sorry if I say her name incorrectly. Tasmin Mir. I've heard Mare or Mir. I've heard it pronounced Mare, like Mir. I keep saying it differently each time. But Tasmin Mir wrote Gideon the Ninth, Harrow the Ninth, and then Nona the Ninth, I believe is what it's called. Listen, she's got my like sense of humor down. The sarcasm, the like the character not wanting to be there, just kind of everything is so good. And then obviously Emma Wong, because I was just sitting here gushing over her books. Obviously, she's one of my new favorite authors. Now, my new fictional crushes. We have, I'm so sorry if I mispronounced his name. I think I pronounced it wrong even then. I think I at one point knew how to say his name and it just left my head. Like most things do when I'm done reading them. But Selwyn from the Legendborn cycle, he is the dude who's on the second cover. He has like magical powers and he has like different colored eyes and he's like half demon. You know, that kind of thing. I do like Nick as well, but like he kind of feels more like the way that he's described reminds me too much of myself, and I don't like that. And then Gideon. Of course I like Gideon the Ninth, okay? Are you kidding me? Big muscular woman. Of course I love Gideon, alright? And then you have Victor Vale, I believe it is, from the villain duology. Love him. Love how protective he is of... I forgot her name. but I just love the kind of anti-hero thing. His whole like storyline is crazy. Just like, I don't know, he's really cool. And every time I see like fan art of him, I'm like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And then of course, okay, listen, yes, am I really annoying about this series in general on my channel already? Do I mention it in almost every single video? Yes. Do I mention this character in almost every single video? And is he not new to this year or this reading year because I started Stormlight Archives last year, but am I still going to mention him because he's the one of the my loves of my lives? Because he's my sweet little baby boy? Yes, Kaladin. You know who he is. Kaladin Stormblessed from the Stormlight Archives. Okay, Mr. Bridge 4 leader himself. Okay, listen, like I said, he's not new to this year, but it would be a crime if I didn't mention him for fictional crushes. So shh. Am I really annoying about it? Yes, yes I am. Shut up. And then new favorite characters. Victor Vale. Duh. Gideon the Ninth. Duh. I'm gonna mispronounce his name and I'm so sorry because I did it the same way in the video. Tomil? He is I guess he's the love interest of Blood Over Brighthaven. He's just kind of a very important part of it. There's a romance in it, but it's not really like a romance. You know what I'm saying? I love him. The way that he's protective of his sister and kind of just the way that he gently explains things and has gone through so much but is still such like a good person and willing to help somebody realize and kind of talk them through their prejudice even though he doesn't have to and he shouldn't be the one having to explain that to her. I love him. I love him so much. And then also Robin from Caliban's War. I don't know if I did upload the video that I read that in. Caliban's War. She's basically just like a tall Martian woman who like is basically just like super cool, defeats aliens and also just kind of in the book is down and doesn't really know what to do with her life, but she very much helps everybody else around her. And just the kind of conversations and snark that she has is really good. I just love her so much. And then Elm as well. Elm, I don't know his last name. I think I did. Elm is from Two Twisted Crowns. He's the reason that the second book in that duology is so highly rated. Okay, I said it in the first video that I was like, I like the side characters a lot more than I do like our main people. I still liked Raven and I still liked Elspeth, but when you have Elm in there, what are you expecting me not to fall in love with him? What are you expecting? He's so like sarcastic and charismatic and just the way that he cares for people and realizes things that nobody else does and has put up with so much in his life but is still such a good person. Also, just mainly the snark that he has is my favorite thing. Also, he has dark hair and he's a prince. You expecting me not to fall in love with that? And then so we have books that made you cry, or a book that made you cry. We're gonna be really annoying because I haven't read that many books this year. I've finished 26 and I've DNF'd probably like 10 now. Sword of Kaigen. We're gonna gush over it again. That book made me weep like a little baby, okay? And it happened multiple times. I like picked it up the next day and I was crying again. Okay, the family, like stuff with family for some reason just always gets me. The stuff with her son and just I could cry thinking about it now. Like it's so devastating. So just know going into Sword of Kaigen that you might bawl your eyes out because I did. Now, am I a little wimp? Yes, but I do, it does take weirdly a lot for me to cry at a book. Like I'll get teary-eyed, like water in my eyes, but I won't like have tears But this freaking book, and then Rhythm of War, there's a certain scene where, if you've read the book, you know there's a scene with Kaladin and his dad, and with the kind of enemy and Kaladin doing something that his dad doesn't like him doing. I don't know why, but just Kaladin was really struggling that book, and having somebody that he loves so much say what they said to him, and him just kind of taking that and accepting it as, him being everything that he thought he is, which he absolutely isn't, but him taking it as that was so devastating. And to hear it again, like I said, from somebody so close to him, just was so, like, it's even making me upset now. And I just want to say to Brandon Sanderson, I am coming for you. You have not let this man have one second of happiness. And it is heartbreaking for me because he is, as I've said so many times, my favorite character, okay? And it is one of my comfort book series, even though it's devastating. I'm willing to read over 1,000 pages of each of these books. I don't know why, because it's just suffering every single time. But, anyways, books that made you happy. Can you guess? Can you guess? Can you guess? Rhythm of War! Gideon the Ninth, Killjoy, which is a prequel novella to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, to watch Pip kind of not have the stress of all of the stuff that has happened to her later on in the book series, because I had just barely finished Good as Dead, and to kind of see the evolution of that, but then to go back and kind of see her happy and see her using her detective skills, and just that book series is dark, but she is so good at what she does, and it's kind of hard not to love her even with her faults. I support women's wrongs. And then the Expanse series, I've read up to book 3. That series is kind of everything that I love so much. It's a space opera. It's just there's found family within it. There's a relationship within it that I really love. Holden is one of my favorite characters because he has some sarcasm and wit, and this book series has a lot of jokes that are really funny, and then some of them are a little but I think that's any book series with any kind of humor in it. And Gideon the Ninth, I kind of just skipped over that. It has my kind of humor. It has sarcasm. It has necromancy, and it has alien planets with people trying to figure out what this trial thing is, and then some people working together, some people working against each other, mysteries to be solved, and then the two characters kind of hating each other. And then just the I'm not even mad at the ending because of the humor that was in it, and also because it means that I get to read the second book and kind of just follow the mystery in that. And her writing was just so good. I absolutely loved it. Again, that's why she's one of my new favorite authors. And then Two Twisted Crowns, obviously, because of the freaking relationship that happened in it. And that one, I just adore Elm and Iona. I don't know how you pronounce her name. And just her whole storyline as well was really good. And I don't really love what happened with Elspeth, but I understand it. That wasn't my favorite side plot to what was happening, but it was I get that you need to wrap it up in some form of a way. But I do really like the ending of the first book. I will say that. That was one of my favorite parts. If you know the ending of that book, of what Elspeth does to somebody, to another person, it was really... I'm not endorsing violence, but it was really nice to watch and read, not watch, to read that dude get stuff happen to him. Anyways, the most beautiful book you've bought so far. So like I said, I haven't really bought that many books this year, but the most beautiful one, and I just realized, well, I didn't buy this book. My parents did, and I realized it was for Christmas. Shh, it's fine. It's fine. Is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. This does not have anything underneath the cover like other books do, but the freaking end pages, and then also just like the cover in general, which you might not be able to see that well in the this light, but it does have like gold accent foiling. I've seen the reverse colorway, I believe it is, where this is gold instead of red, and then it has red accents on it. I like this one a little bit more than that one, but this is the new Cassandra Clare. I believe it's a new adult series, and it's not Shadowhunter, which was kind of crazy. But I think the next book comes out next year as well, and I don't really know if I'm that excited to read it, but I kind of do. This was $20, by the way. Huh? But the last and final question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And I don't have anything underneath that because I don't need to read any other books. Now, are there series that I could finish? Abso-freaking-lutely. Do I necessarily need to? No. Okay, you know what we're gonna say? You know what we're gonna say? Books that I need to read are more of Brandon Sanderson's books. I need to read more of the secret projects that he has out. I need to read the second part of the Mistborn, the second half of the Mistborn series, because I have heard time and time again that there are references and the whole, I forget what it's called, but the basically everything is connected in a way, and there are different references to different books within other books. And I also got a reference for, I think it was either Mistborn or like another book within the last one, and I've probably missed so many more. So those are the only books I'm going to say that I need to read. Okay, because you don't need to read anything. It's just a want to read. There are books that I want to read, but it's just kind of like the word need for me. I'm just like, I don't. Anyways, yeah, I've read 25 books so far this year, which is pretty decent if you ask me. My reading goal is 50. I'm apparently, as of right now, filming this video, I am apparently 2 behind, which makes sense because we're in July and we're like halfway through July right now. So that makes sense. It's been a weird reading year. I'm still in a slump. I don't know. But I've had some very fun surprises. I've read some comfort series. I've had just some very weird books that I've hated. But anyways, that is my mid-year book tag, book freakout, whatever you want to call it. Thank you so much for watching. Tell me if you've read any of these books, what your thoughts and opinions are on them, and make sure that you like and subscribe while you're doing that. I'll see you whenever I upload next, and bye. Ow, my butt is so sweaty.